Hello and welcome to the channel, and don't forget to like and subscribe and click that notification button so you'll be notified of any future videos. Suppose we pumping these out a bit more regular, but had some health issues, but hopefully that's all under the carpet and we can continue. So today it's about music production tips, why it's important to know even some music theory. Okay, so let's get into it. Oh, hits hard. Over at Instagram, it's RTMA_studios. You follow, I follow. Let's chat. Let's talk about, music production, share tips, tricks, maybe talk about ideas for other videos that you want to see. And yeah, let's connect over there. So, why is it important to know even some music theory? Knowing music theory to make music is not essential. I know some of you guys are going to be watching this shudder and thinking, "What? What did he just say?" But I mean, the Beatles. We watched the documentary. They didn't have any idea about music theory, but they were still able to make music and make some of the most amazing music that's ever existed. I'm not a Beatles fan, by the way. Again, sorry for the blasphemy, but I'm not. However, I can respect that they were actual musicians, even if they didn't know and study music theory. So, like a lot of us, we can make music because we have ears. We are able to hear what notes don't sit right in a composition and a production. We know how to make those notes work together for our bass lines or melodies and so on and so forth. Where music theory does come into play is for a lot of workflow, to make things quicker, easier, better, to give you more ideas, more ammunition for your arsenal of weaponry with your music production. It just opens up so much, and I advise you before we really get into it. Knowing music theory, knowing more about music theory, your chord progressions, chords, diatonic, whatever it is, triads, what is it? Unison calls it advanced, amazing chords, whatever it is, jazz chords, all those cool sounds, whatever. The it can only help learning the theory of it. It can only help. Having all that extra information can only elevate your music production better, or the speed at which you can produce. And honestly, it's something you should really look into. So I'm not knocking music theory, but yeah, let's get into it. So imagine this is your production part of the way through. Now I'm using Somatics. Love this company. They do samples. There's a whole free library. I mean, it's criminal that they do this, but it's free, completely free. There's so much of it. I would encourage you to buy sample packs from these guys. They are absolutely amazing. They're top of their game. Same as Ghost Hack, but today I'm using Somatics Cobra Melody Loop 5. I've deleted the BPM, which was 110, but also the key so that we can check this out. So for this demonstration, again, as I said, let's pretend this is one of your productions. You've made this absolutely amazing track, produced this amazing loop, or you've gotten this amazing sample. All right, you can hear that. Oh, I wish I could rap. Just want to like say something with this. Anyway, yeah, sounds pretty good. So we want to find out what key that's in so that we can start adding things to it. Now again, you could just make any kind of melodies with that. Your ear will probably hear it right, and you'll know what sounds right in it, and you'll naturally be in key with it, for most people. However, it's not just about knowing a key so you can write stuff. It's more of a mechanical tool for other things to make it easier and stuff like that. So what we'll do to find the key initially is I'm going to open up a device, and I will pick, if you hear some banging, that's my new dog, and he's learning how to be quiet. Isn't that right? Yeah. His name's Gizmo. Anyway, so let me open up a piano. Piano's always a go-to for this kind of thing, isn't it? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the piano. Scratching there, if you'll let me. I'm going to play the piano while we're playing the loop, the piece of music, the production that you've got. And you can see the keys here. All right, we'll play the piano. We're going to see what notes fit and what notes don't. Whatever notes don't, we'll take a note of it, we'll try and remember it, and then we can figure out what key we're in. So, without further ado, I'm always just going to start on C, just naturally C, it's easier. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now, we don't know if we're in a major or minor chord or key. So what we're going to do is, just because it sounds kind of dark, sounds kind of gritty, I'm going to assume that it's a minor, but not all minors keys sound sad and not all majors sound happy, but that's the general kind of like what you hear, like, oh, majors for happier, more upbeat, minors more for like down, you know, serious, whatever. But it really depends on how you're using them. Anyway, so here we go. So we're gonna hit play and we'll go up the scale. Oh, you hear that? Okay, so that F just doesn't sit right compared to the other ones. So let's see. Aha! I think we've got it. So I've just played all the white notes there initially. Now remember, depending on what key it actually is in, a lot of those white notes might have sounded off, and then it means play the black note that's next to it, right? That's a simple way to explain it. So we could hear there that C, D, E were okay, but F just didn't sound right. So we played either, this is going to be, if it's in a major scale, this is going to be F sharp, or it's going to be G flat, okay? So there's G, there's F. This key that they share, it's either F sharp or G flat, okay? And then when we play the rest of the scale, G, A, B, C, and so on, and they all sound like they fit. So I think possibly there's only one black key in our key. So that's our first clue. So if you don't have something in your DAW that you can compare this to, the quickest way to do it would be open Google, type in minor keys piano, you'll get a piano roll, and I would try and pick something that has it more highlighted in colors, maybe all the keys rather than just dots, might be less confusing. So I'm gonna pick something like well, that's just one. Let's try this yellow one. Okay, and you can see here there's all the different minor scales, and we're looking for this one note, that F sharp or G flat, which was the first black key on the triple black keys. So do we see anything here? Well, this one here, so we got, yeah, we don't play the white key, that's the F, we play the F sharp or G flat, and then the rest are all the white keys. So I think this actually does look like what we've just used, what we just played, and this is called E minor. So we've just figured out what key our track is actually in. It's E minor, and there you go. They call it a G flat in the minor, so it's E, G flat. So there it is. It's not F sharp, it's G flat. Perfect. So close that down. So now we know we're in E minor. I'm going to make a note of that here on my DAW in case I forget about it the next day or something like that. And we're in E minor, and we know that in E minor we can play all the white notes except F. So we don't play F, we play G flat instead. Okay, and then we can just play melodies. And again, I don't know how you produce, but if you're just playing around with the keys, let's give it a melody then. Here we go. Please forgive my, I'm going to turn on cue record, quantize. I'm actually going to go down to 8, just keep it simple. And here we go. Click track. Should we do pre? No, because I can never do it on time. So I'll just come in after. Here we go. Okay, so remember we're not playing F. We're not playing F. And because E minor, I'm going to start on E just to keep it easy. Simple, right? But it matches. It works with that because they're both in the same key, and that's the point. So again, we didn't need to know the key per se to be able to make a melody. You've already been doing that in your productions. So where does it come in handy? So now that we knew the key of this and we were able to say E minor, and again, remember this is your production for as an example. So say you wanted to add in more samples, or you had a session musician who comes in and he's ready to play his guitar and he's asking you what key the track's in, so he can, you know, play all the right chords and stuff. It can help that way. So because we don't have a session musician here, let's go to our browser. I'm going to open up our sample library. I just want to show you first that it's definitely right. I hope I'm right. I really hope I'm right, or this ruins it all. Cobra hip hop samples. Okay, let's go to melodies, and we're looking for loop 5, melody loop 5, melody loop 5, melody loop here. And if I just move this over, let's see, is it? Yeah, baby! E minor! E minor! So it worked. Anyway, of course, I knew it worked. Of course it did. I knew it was going to happen. Okay, anyway, so E minor. We were right. Now, I used Google there to check the keys. If you do have Reason, or you have a DAW that has some type of player system, like a device, so we have scales and chords in Reason. And if I drag in scales and chords, what scales and chords does is it helps me with this as well. So instead of Google, if I was trying to find the key in the same way, which I do often, this isn't just something I've learned and then I don't use it. I actually do use that technique quite a bit, but instead of Google, I compare it with this because it's just easier. So I would look for that one black key. Now I'm going to stay in major just to show you something else here, right? So we know we're in E minor. We checked that out. We guessed it was minor first. But let's, for example, C major. It's all the white keys. That's not our key because we want this one to be highlighted, right? If I go to D flat major, no, it's not the same, right? It's not all the white keys. In fact, it's not a lot of white keys in that. We go to D. No, there's 2 black keys highlighted. We only have 1 black key highlighted. There's 3 in that. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes all together, but 4 highlighted there. Why did I count to 7? Didn't need to. Anyway, but that's E major, not E minor. And then we go to F. It's the same kind of thing. Oh, there's 1, but it's not the first one. It's the last one. So it's not our key or even close to it. Again, there's G. And then we... Oh, hold on a second. But you said we were in E minor. But G major looks exactly the same. Well, my friend, and this is awesome. This is what I love. G major is the relative major of E minor. The majors and minors have essentially an opposite in the major. So for example, if I look at C major, right? See C major, all the white keys, and then we go to A minor. Oh, look, all the white keys. All right. Now you would think they would sound all the same. Yeah, if you're playing notes, any notes that you want, not following any other theory, then yeah, essentially you could have A minor, C major sound the same. Was it G major and E minor to sound exactly the same because it's all the same notes, right? But the difference is, you know, the G, the first kind of progression, for example, starts at G, and that's 1, and so on and so forth. There's a whole other world there that we'll get into in other videos about progressions and stuff like that. But essentially, they sound different because of maybe the order or the way you play the notes in the context or within the context of other bits of music theory. But essentially, they're the opposites of each other. So every scale has an opposite scale in the major or minor, depending on what it is. And the cool thing about that is you can go in. I'm going to turn this off. You can go in your samples or whatever, and it opens up more possibilities, more opportunities. Again, it might not all fit properly because of the way the notes are being played, and they might collide with other notes and so on and so forth. Same with anything, um, and still not sound nice, even though all the notes will be okay within your scale. However, it just opens it up that instead of only getting E minor samples, you can get G major samples, you know. So if I let me see, we look for a G major. Is there a G major in flutes? No. No G major in flutes, but you know something? I'm gonna bring in this flute anyway. So that's 113 BPM, and it's F sharp minor. And you can see here it's not doesn't fit the loop, so I'm gonna time stretch this and bring up my wee clock, my time stretch clock, and it should be a kind of similar symbol on your DAW. And that's it, time stretch. Just make sure it's time stretch. It's here. Perfect. Okay, now we'll come back to that. Okay. And then what to say? We're gonna go for a G major. So what? Before we do that, actually drum loops. Let's bring in without auto playing it. I'll turn off autoplay. Let's bring in this 103 BPM. Okay, and then let's make this a bit shorter. There you go. Time stretched it, and perfect. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna find that G major sample that I keep saying and we haven't got yet. Apologies. So G, and I'll do MAJ, and we'll do return, and we'll see if I do it flat, and maybe all the G majors will come up when you change it flat. If you're a Reason user, take note of that. It'll change your life. And we did G Maj, and unfortunately, I think it's because I didn't put it together. So if I go into this and do G no space MAJ. Again, I love these videos to be organic. I don't want to edit any videos because any mistakes I make, you can correct me, I can learn, but also it just gives other people that confidence that if you think my work sounds professional, if you think my, finished masters on whatever site or channel sound great and top notch that I made, but you see me making this and you're like, hey, I'm like this guy. I'm sitting at home, doing the same kind of things and I feel amateur, I feel whatever. Hopefully it'll still make you feel like you're just as good because you are. And music is very subjective, and there's no reason why you can't be better than what I am and whatever. So yeah, dude, if you see anything wrong, point it out. And as I say, I'm not going to edit anything. If I make a mistake, if something doesn't work, it's in the video, and that's just the way it is. So anyway, G major. So we got here G major muted guitar 150. I'll go for something a bit closer to 110. Maybe one word piano, bubbling brick. Don't care. Guitar, well, it doesn't have to be guitar, but just keep scrolling. Scroll a little bit more. In fact, yeah, let's just pick this one, 150. So I have no idea what this is going to be like. All right. And I don't really like the long sample. So what I'm going to do, bear with me. So I could time stretch this, but another way I can do it would be I'll just quickly pump this up to 150. All right. Drag it in. The reason why I do this is sometimes with vocals, you'll get like a bit of silence on the end, and sometimes when I try and time stretch the long samples, they just don't fit right because maybe they're not exported as like these exact bars or something. So it's just much easier do that, and then once it's in, by changing the BPM back to what it was. Everything else will be the same, but it will time stretch this one, and that's fine. And it's obviously going to sound pretty weird from 150 right down to 110. It's a big jump. But what I want to show is that G major will still technically fit into this mix. So if I just hit play and it's soloed, turn it down a bit. That's just horrible. You can hear those artifacts because we've slowed it down so much. Anyway, simple beats. Let's see with our melody. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see how it still fits. So that was written for E minor, and the guitar is in G major. So we just brought that in, and it's just given us more options. So we haven't been stuck with just E minor, E minor, E minor, only E minor samples. Oh, can't use this, can't use that. There's also the flute that we brought in. Now the flute that we brought in was F. What did we say it was? It was F sharp minor. Okay, so check this out. So we originally in E minor. We were able to bring in a G major sample, or sound, you know, if you're not using samples, if you're writing, whatever. So brought in G major, we're in E minor, and then we've got this F sharp minor here. So because we're in E major, if we look at the piano roll, just so I can see you when I'm doing this, okay? So F sharp minor, that's F sharp, right? It's up here. And we know that our key is E minor. So E is here, E minor, F sharp, okay? E minor starts with E. So if we go from F to E, it is what we'd say is, if we go F, we go 1, 2. Okay? So to get to E, it's 2 down, which is what we call semitones. 2 semitones. 1 semitone, 2. Okay? So all we have to do is go down 2 semitones, or in some people just say down semitones, or you guys might actually say, where is it? Transpose. Just go down 2. Okay? Minus 2. Now if you wanted to go to E minor, up, if you wanted to like pitch it, you would then go how many semitones? So for example, go back in again. So if we went down 2 semitones to E from here, if we want to get to E up the scale, you go, ready, starting here, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. You would have to go up 10 semitones. Okay, so what I'll do just for fun, I'm going to duplicate this. Hope you're following along here. And this one will actually go up 10 semitones. 10 semitones. There we go. All right. There we go. This is going to sound so rubbish, but it's just to give you that idea how it all fits, using that idea of music theory, that we can bring these things in, have confidence that it at least in scale will fit. And again, we get to be creative with it, right? We get to just drag these in and see what they sound like together and have fun with it, and same with writing your melodies and things like that, and getting your session musicians in, your singers, whatever. So here we go. So we've just changed these. They should both be in key with E minor, because G major is the relative major of E minor. It should also match with G major. Everything should be note-wise, at least, within the keys that match. Let's see what it sounds like. So I'm just gonna do a bad thing here. So let's start with our original. Okay, and then here we go. And I'm only turn it down a bit so that you can hear the other things coming in. We know that the piano is going to work. So there we go. Oh! See? I mean, why wouldn't it fit, right? Why wouldn't it fit? Because they're all using the correct notes. They should be. And then we'll throw the beat in. Okay, now here's the major one. What's gonna happen with the guitar again? It might not fit, might not work. Here we go. It's not really working with everything, right? So maybe with this one, the notes just aren't really working together in the guitar. So let me just see it. Yeah. So again, it's a perfect example how sometimes it doesn't work together, even though in theory it could, or you might think it should, and it could work, in some type of like twist in the song where you're going into like some type of weird bridge. I mean, depending on your genre, you could be making some long 7-8 minute piece. It's kind of transforming, and it's actually an easy way to get into like using the same notes, change the key, use the relative major or minor of the key you're in to make the song change. That could actually be quite good for composing for music to film, animations, things like that. And I do use it quite a bit to maybe come out of minor into major by using something like that in general. But yeah, just whatever works. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't, and that's why you would experiment. You would check it with different sounds, samples if you're using samples and stuff. And that's a whole other debate right there too about people who use samples and don't use samples. And to be quite frank, use what you want. Use what you want. Honestly, it's a mug's game if you're just you know limiting yourself to, oh, I don't use samples. I don't use samples. I use samples and I'm proud of using samples and I like using samples and I can use samples. I also write my own music, my own melodies, my own notes, everything myself. I also use chord generators, like you've just seen on there, scales and chords, and to get ideas and things like that. And you know, use everything and anything to create and to make what you want your art the best it can be. And don't be afraid. And if people don't like it, then they can comment and we can comment back and we can learn and we can grow. And like I said to you, there are people sitting at home watching this or looking at producers like you, producers like me, and it doesn't matter how good the tracks are. We might not even know music theory, and they don't think we're real musicians. We might not be able to play a keyboard, a piano, professionally or fluently or even in any other way than one or two fingers. And they would say, oh, we're not real musicians or whatever. And again, it's all narrow minded. Everything is beneficial, everything is useful in different contexts for different people, and it's all subjective. And I don't want to be one of these people that says that, all music's amazing, because there's a lot of it sounds like absolute dog poo. I'm not swearing because I don't know if I can or not on YouTube. I'm still fresh, I'm still a wee YouTube newbie, But there's a lot of dog start songs out there, and yeah, it's subjective. There's still people that like it. Anyway, rant over. Um, I hope this was useful. I hope it gives you, you know, and it encourages you to maybe go on your DAW, whatever you use, and try and look into those sample packs again that you might have, or the melodies that you're writing, and examine why you think it didn't work or it doesn't work together, and check to see if this is why. Are your melodies and your bass lines and things like that, is everything in the right key? And then figure that out. And if it's not, and you're able to make the corrections, figure out what key it's in using some of the tips I've shown, and it just makes your song sit better and sound better. Great. Let me know in the comments. Did it help? Is it useful? And also, does it help just seeing how someone else might produce? And um, would you prefer to see smartly edited videos, or is it okay to just kind of hit record and as if you're sitting with me and we're having a chat? Sorry, a one-way chat, but you know, something a bit more organic. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope it's been useful, and yeah, tune in for the next video. So without further ado, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Let's link up on Instagram, and yeah, see you later. Okay, it didn't work. I'm using OBS, and I thought this would work, but it didn't. Bye bye.